Hey, I'm Earl Purdy, and I am here to do hardcore Course in Miracles with you. This is for hardcore Course in Miracles students. I'm going to take my almost 40 years of studying and teaching the course, and I'm going to go deep into this section, and we're going to hear the Course in Miracles hardcore. And we're going to be on page 505. We're going to be on page 505 in the text of A Course in Miracles. We're going to be on page 505, the forgiveness of specialness. The forgiveness of specialness. The forgiveness of specialness on page 505. That's what we're going to be on. Of specialness. Page 505. That's what we're going to be on.
I am you, and you are me.
Whoa. So, page 505. Page 505. I'm really excited. I'm really excited because this is going to be a challenging section. This is a section that's going to show you why I call it hardcore Course in Miracles. So if you ever were going to take the attitude that you don't have to believe it, that you don't have to accept it, that you don't have to welcome it, hold on a second. Let me cut this heat off. My chakras, my 7 spiritual centers are on fire, so I definitely don't want the heat on. And I got on this tiger robe because the tiger is my power animal, and it's comfortable. And I hope you get comfortable when we get ready to learn together. So the very first sentence on page 505, chapter 24, section 3, paragraph 1, the first sentence says, forgiveness is the end. Forgiveness is the end of specialness. 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 Only illusions can be forgiven. The only thing that you can forgive is something that's not real, something that hasn't happened. And then the illusions disappear. So if you want your illusions to disappear, if you want your false ideas to disappear, if you want your false ideas to disappear, then you must forgive your false ideas. Illusions can be forgiven. False ideas can be forgiven. False ideas can be forgiven, and then they disappear. So forgiveness is the end of specialness. Now, the Course in Miracles gives its own definitions. The Course in Miracles gives its own definitions for certain terms that's in the book. The Course in Miracles gives its own interpretations of the words because the Course in Miracles is a language. The Course in Miracles says it is your new language. So when you look at the Course in Miracles as a language, as if you're learning a language, it becomes a lot easier. So in A Course in Miracles language, forgiveness is the end of specialness. And only illusions can be forgiven. Only false ideas can be forgiven, and then they disappear. Forgiveness is the release from all illusions. Forgiveness is the release from all false ideas. So, forgiveness is the release from all illusion. So, to be forgiven means that you've been released from all your false ideas. To be forgiven means that you have been released from all your false ideas. So when I forgive you, I am releasing all my false ideas about you. So when I forgive you, I'm letting go of all my false ideas about you. Forgiveness is the release from all illusion. Didn't say release from some false ideas. It says forgiveness is released from all false ideas, because it's only false ideas that hurt you. It's only false ideas that cause you pain. It's only false ideas that cause you pain. So forgiveness is the release from all illusions, all your false ideas. So when I forgive you, I'm not saying I'm overlooking something I think you've done to me. When I forgive you, I'm releasing you from all the false ideas and beliefs that I have about you. When I forgive you, I'm letting go of anger, guilt, and grievances about you. When I forgive you, I'm letting go of everything that's not love about you. It's not me trying to overlook what you did to me as a little child. I'm not expecting anybody that I think that did anything to me as a little child. I'm no longer looking for them to ask me to forgive them. What I'm doing is I want to let go of all my false ideas about the people that I think hurt me. Because if I let go of the false ideas about them, then that's forgiving them. And a false idea about them would be the belief that they are separate from me. That would be a false idea about them. Believing that they are bodies. That would be a false idea about them. Believing that the person that hurt me, believing that their ego was really who they were. That like me really thinking that that person who looked like they hurt me, I forget that that person is not that personality, is not that ego. So forgiveness is release from all false ideas. And the Course in Miracles is only talking about love or fear. So in my 39 years of teaching this, I realized that I had to learn the definitions of the words that the Course uses and not use the definitions that I have made up for everything. For instance, forgiveness is the end of specialness. It's only specialness that can be forgiven, and then specialness disappears. So the more you correctly see specialness, the more your specialness is going to disappear. The more you study the truth, the more your specialness is going to disappear. The more loving you become, the more your specialness is going to disappear. The more loving you become, the more your specialness is going to disappear. Because forgiveness is a release from all specialness. Forgiveness is release from all illusion. Forgiveness is the release from every false idea that you have about yourself. Forgiveness is you being released from every false idea you have about yourself. And the false idea that you have about yourself is that you are separate from God. The false idea that you have that the false idea that you have is the belief that you are separate from love. So forgiveness is the release of all false ideas. Forgiveness is the release from all separation. And that's why it is impossible to but partly to forgive. It's impossible to partially forgive somebody. It is impossible to partially forgive. It is impossible to forgive a little bit. It is impossible to forgive a little bit. You have even forgiven or you haven't forgiven. You don't forgive a little. You can't forgive a little. You can't forgive a little. You can't do a little bit of forgiveness. A little bit of forgiveness is impossible. You can't forgive somebody a little bit. It's impossible according to A Course in Miracles. According to A Course in Miracles, it's impossible, but partly to forgive. And so that means it's impossible, but partly to be released from all illusions. Remember that it just said forgiveness is the release of all illusions. So every time you see the word forgive, when you're reading, substitute one of the definitions. It is impossible, but partly to release from all false ideas. See, an illusion is a false idea. So either I'm released from false ideas or I'm not released from false ideas. You're either released from false ideas or not released from false ideas. It's impossible to just partially let go of all your false ideas. It's impossible to partially forgive. The Course in Miracles says, read me slowly. So those of you who are watching and listening, I hope you have your Course in Miracles book in front of you so that I can give you some tips about how to make this book simple, but still keep it profound. And you do that by using the definitions and substituting the definitions that the Course in Miracles itself uses. If it says forgiveness is the end of specialness, then wherever I see forgiveness, I'm going to say the end of specialness. If it says forgiveness is release from all illusion, then everywhere I see the word forgiveness, I may say, instead of saying forgiveness, I might say release from all illusions. See, that's how you learn the definitions of the words that the Course in Miracles is giving you. And so the Course says it's impossible but to partly release yourself from all your false ideas. No one who clings to one illusion, no one who clings to one false idea can see himself as sinless. No one who clings to one false idea can see themselves as innocent. Because if you keep one false idea about yourself, you are holding one error to yourself as lovely still. And so any mistake that you make that you really, really love, you're going to call that mistake unforgivable. When there's a mistake that you love, when there is a mistake that you love, when there's something that's happening that's a mistake that you love, you're going to call it unforgivable. What you did to me last night was unforgivable. What I'm really saying to myself is there's something that you did last night that I still think is lovely, and I'm going to call it unforgivable because I still love making this mistake. I really love what you just did, so I'm going to call it unforgivable. Whenever I call something that somebody else does unforgivable, then I'm holding a mistake to myself that I really, really love. That person is making a mistake that I really, really love. Whenever I don't want to forgive something, it's a mistake that I really, really love. It's a mistake that I really, really want to keep going. And so I call it a sin. A sin is a mistake that I say is unforgivable. So if you do something and I say it's unforgivable, I'm the one that's making it a sin, because a sin is a mistake that I want to hold to myself, and it's a mistake I want to keep making, and so I'm going to call it unforgivable. if I want to keep pain to myself, if I want to keep fear to myself, if I want to keep on feeling guilt, if I want to keep on feeling pain, then I'm going to say whatever that thing is, I'm going to call it unforgivable. Because if I call the pain that I think somebody else calls me unforgivable, then I hold it to myself and I keep that pain. No one who clings to one illusion can see himself as sinless, for he holds one error to himself as lovely still. And so he calls it unforgivable and makes it a sin. When I say that there's something that I cannot forgive, when I say that there is something that I cannot let go of my false ideas about, when I say there is something I'm not willing to let go of my false ideas about, then I'm going to call it unforgivable. And I'm going to call it unforgivable because I love that pain. I love that mistake. And I'm holding that mistake. And I want to keep on making that mistake. And I want to keep on having the pain of that mistake. Then I'll call it unforgivable. So anything that a person sees as unforgivable is just a pain they want to keep going through, a pain that they love. Now that's a cool name, Sparrow Arrow. I love that. I'm going to take this very slow. So this book just told me that every time I see something that's unforgivable, it's because it's a mistake that's being made that I really like and that I really love. And I want to keep that mistake going, and I want to keep that pattern going, and I want to keep that pain going. So when I want to keep the pain going, in fact, when I want to keep the separation going, then I'm going to say it's unforgivable, and I'm going to make it into a sin. I'm going to see it as something that can never be corrected, something that it can never, ever be forgiven. So whenever a person doesn't want to forgive something, it's a mistake that they love. It's a pain that they love. It's a pattern that they love. And then the Course in Miracles says, how can he then give his forgiveness wholly when he would not receive forgiveness for himself? How can you give your forgiveness totally when you don't want to receive forgiveness for yourself? How can you give me something that you don't want to receive yourself? You can't give anybody anything that you don't want to receive yourself. How can he then give his forgiveness wholly when he would not receive it for himself? How can you give your forgiveness completely when you don't want to receive forgiveness for yourself? You can't give anything that you don't want to receive for yourself. So that means a person has to want to receive love for themselves. They have to want to receive happiness for themselves. And when they receive happiness for themselves, then they can give happiness completely. So what does that mean? It means until you accept happiness for yourself, until you receive love for yourself, until you receive love for yourself, until you let love come into you, until you let love come into you, until you receive love in yourself, for yourself, receive it for yourself. Until you receive it for yourself, you can't completely give something that you haven't completely received. Don't you know that you can't really give something that you haven't completely received? So it just said, how can you give forgiveness wholly when you wouldn't receive it for yourself? So unless you are willing to be forgiven, unless you are willing to be forgiven, then you cannot give forgiveness unless you are willing to be forgiven. So the question is, are you willing to be forgiven? Are you willing to be forgiven? And then what did the Course in Miracles say the meaning of forgiven was? Are you willing to be released from all illusions? Are you willing to be released from all your false beliefs? Are you willing to be released from all your false ideas? Are you willing to be released from the things you are afraid of? Are you willing to be released from the things you are afraid of? Are you willing to be released from the things that you are afraid of? because forgiveness is the end of all your false ideas. Don't forget, the Course in Miracles definition of forgiveness is, what was it? Forgiveness is release from all illusions. Forgiveness is the end of specialness. The end of specialness is forgiveness. The end of specialness is forgiveness. The end of specialness is forgiveness. You will know that you have forgiven when you no longer see yourself as special. You will know that you've been forgiven when you no longer see yourself as different from anyone else. You will know that you've been forgiven when you don't see yourself as different from love. When you don't see yourself as different from love, then you have been forgiven. You have accepted forgiveness for yourself, because forgiveness is the end of specialness. Forgiveness is the end of all your false ideas about yourself. A false idea about yourself is that you are a body. A false idea about yourself is that you are a victim. A false idea about yourself is that you are your fears or your ego. You are not your ego. You are not your ego. You are not your fear. You are not your fear. You are not your false ideas. You are not your false ideas. You are not your guilt. You are not your guilt. Sounds like some kind of a snack. Nacho guilt. The ego eats nacho guilt. Okay, you want to stop eating that nacho guilt. You want to start realizing you want to eat the nacho guilt. You want to eat nacho guilt. So that's what you're doing right now. Of forgiving yourself would be you letting go of the idea that you are sinful, or that you are limited, or that you are separate. The Course in Miracles says forgiveness is the end of specialness. It's the release from all false ideas. And then it tells us, as long as you cling to one false idea, you won't see yourself as innocent. You won't see yourself as sinless. And what is the one illusion? What is the one illusion that we cling to? The one illusion that we cling to is the idea that we could be guilty, that we could be sinful, that we could truly be bad. That is the one idea. That is the one idea that must be released. And when I release that idea that I'm unworthy of love, when I release the idea that I have to chase people, when I release that idea that I've got to try to get people to like me or to love me, when I release that false idea, that's when I can tell I have truly forgiven myself. I've forgiven myself when I don't need love from outside of myself. That I've forgiven myself when I realize I am love and you are too. I've forgiven myself when I let go of all my false ideas. And the biggest false idea of all is the false idea that you're separate from God, the false idea that you're separate from love, the false idea that you're separate from me. So the Course in Miracles says what? No one who clings to one illusion can see himself as sinless, for he holds one error to himself as lovely still. And so you call the mistake that you think is lovely, you call that unforgivable. And when you really don't want to let the mistake go, you make it a sin. You call it a sin. And then he says, how can you give your release from false ideas wholly when you would not receive the release of all false ideas for yourself? So don't forget that false forgiveness means the release from what? It's right here on the page. Purdy's not making it up. Forgiveness is release from all illusions. It says it right here. See, I'm using the Course in Miracles to interpret and teach the Course in Miracles. I'm not giving you Earl Purdy's opinion. I'm not giving you Earl Purdy's knowledge. I'm not giving you, you know what I'm saying? I'm not here tonight trying to let all of you know how much I know. What I'm doing is supporting the idea of reading the Course in Miracles book and taking the mystery out of reading the book. Because when you read the book, that's when you have miracles. The miracles come from your willingness to hear the message, even if you don't understand it. Miracles come from your willingness to study this, even if you don't understand it. So it's a language. Forgiveness is the end of specialness. Only illusions, which are false ideas, can be forgiven. And then that means false ideas disappear. Forgiveness is release from all false ideas. And that is why it's impossible but partly to release from all false ideas. No one who clings to one false idea can see themselves as innocent, because when you cling to false ideas like you are guilty and you are bad and you are separate or you are not enough, you are holding one mistake to yourself as lovely. When you see yourself as not enough, when you see yourself as lonely, when you see yourself in an unloving way, that's a mistake that you love, that you're holding still. And the Course says a mistake that you love, you call it unforgivable. And when you call it unforgivable, you make it what you think of as a sin. And so how can you give your forgiveness completely when you haven't received it for yourself? How can you give something that you haven't received, but is sure, it is certain that you would receive forgiveness totally the instant that you gave it? You would totally receive love the instant that you give it. So if you're not receiving it, you're not giving it. If you are not receiving it, you are not giving it. If you are not receiving, how it says, for it is sure he would receive it wholly, which is totally, the instant. Didn't say the next instant. It said the instant that he gave it, he would totally receive it. And you can apply that law to anything. The instant you totally give freedom, you will instantly receive it. The instant you give love, you'll receive it. The instant you give forgiveness, you'll receive it. So if you see yourself as not having it, if you see yourself as not having something, it's because you're not totally giving it. Hello? If you don't see yourself receiving respect, you're not totally giving it to yourself. If you don't see yourself as totally receiving love and appreciation, you're not giving it to yourself. Anything that's missing from your life is what you're not giving to yourself. Whatever seems to be missing in your life is what you're not giving to yourself. Notice I didn't say it's what you're not giving to others. I said it's what you're not giving to yourself. For it is sure you would receive it totally the instant that you gave it. It's right there on the page. It's right there. It's right there. It says, it is sure he, you, we would receive it wholly the instant that we gave it totally. So what I loved about the Course in Miracles was that the Course in Miracles got me out of denial. It taught me right from the very beginning, man, you in such denial is ridiculous. You actually think you're loving. You actually think you're kind. You actually think you're unselfish. That was how the Holy Spirit talked to me. It was like laughing. Oh, you really think you know how to give? You really think you share? You really think you believe in me? And just laughed, because it's no way. It is no way that I am giving something that I'm not receiving. If I think I'm not receiving it, I'm not giving it. If I think I'm not receiving kindness and love and unity and oneness, I don't care what I'm telling myself. I don't care if I'm telling myself all day and all night that I'm giving it. If I'm not receiving it, I'm not giving it. If I'm not receiving it, I'm not giving it. If I'm not receiving it, I'm not giving it. I don't care what I tell myself. I don't care how kind I tell myself I am. I don't care how loving that I tell myself I am. If I see myself as being a kind, loving person, but people are not being, I don't see kindness and love and love coming back at me, and I'm not receiving it, I'm not giving it. Even if I'm telling myself I'm giving it, I'm not giving it. If I see myself as not receiving it, I'm not giving it. So it says it right here. For it is sure he would receive it wholly the instant that he gave it so. So if you have any questions about what I'm reading, then I'll be glad if I can notice it to answer. I'm not going to answer questions that have to do with therapeutic application in situations in your life. That is not what this class is about. It's not about telling you how to practice this yet. Not yet. What it's about is, Hardcore Course is about learning this new language and hearing what the Course in Miracles is telling us that it is teaching. In other words, you are learning what this is teaching. And so you can't learn what it's teaching if you don't hear it and if you don't hear what it's teaching. So my job as a teacher is to try to be a good motivator so that you will want to study this for yourself. I'm not a good teacher if you never pick up the book. I'm not a good teacher if it's not motivating you to actually study the book and give it your attention. So the Course in Miracles says that, let me see. That's right, Jim. The instant that you give it totally, that's when you're going to experience it. Bree says, I'm willing to receive forgiveness through giving forgiveness. I am willing to receive forgiveness through giving forgiveness. What is forgiveness? I'm willing to give the release from all illusions, the release from all false ideas. And if I see you as unworthy, then I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to release you from the false idea I have about you. Everybody that I think has ever hurt me in my entire life, I am going to forgive you, which means I am going to release you from all the false ideas that I have about you. So I now forgive my mother. I release my mother from every false idea about her, which is that she was a body separate from God and somehow could have caused me any kind of pain that I didn't ask for myself. I want to dedicate this Course in Miracles class to my best friend for over 50 years that made this transition. I just found out. I just saw him for the last time a couple of months ago when I went to Memphis. We had been buddies, brothers since we were in high school, and one of the most beautiful souls I've ever met. In over almost 60 years of friendship, we never had one cross word. We never had one argument. We never attacked each other. And we could tell each other anything and everything. And that, my brother, that, my sister, is love. Love is where there's unlimited communication without fear. Love is where you use your relationship to release false ideas about each other, not to perpetuate them. So, Kenny Ray, I love you, brother. I know you're not a body. I know you're free. I'm going to feel my grief. I'm going to do my grieving. I'm going to feel all my feelings. But I'm also going to tell you that I'm thrilled for you that you are now out of the body and you're experiencing the next level of existence because you are eternal. We all are. We're not our bodies. And so I love you. You know, you're not dead. You just drop your body again. Okay. All right. So the secret with the Course in Miracles is take it slow. Take it slow. Take it slow. A leader says, if I'm not receiving love, I'm not giving it. Let me receive it so I can give it. Let me receive it. So that's telling you that your job really is to learn how to be a good receiver. You are here to learn how to be a good receiver. You can't be a good giver until you allowed yourself to receive forgiveness. And that means you got to allow yourself to receive the end of all your false ideas. You have a bunch of false ideas, and your false ideas are causing you pain. You have a bunch of false ideas, and it's your false ideas that are causing your pain. It is your false ideas that are causing your pain. It is your false ideas that are causing your problems. So forgiveness is the end of all your false ideas. Thank you, Joanne, for telling me to bless my dear friend's soul. Take a breath. Okay, here we go. We're going to keep on going. It's a long hour, ain't it? Woo! The Course in Miracles, the Course in Miracles, the Course in Miracles. It's a course in right answers. As the Course in Miracles says, a miracle is a right answer. A miracle is a right answer. So it says, how can he then give his forgiveness wholly when he would not receive it for himself? And I'll just say it like this. How can you not give your love totally when you would not receive the love for yourself? You're not going to give anybody any love that you won't receive for yourself. Sorry, until you let yourself receive some happiness, you can't give happiness to anybody else. Unless you let yourself receive some happiness, you can't give happiness to anybody else. You can't give happiness to anybody else if you haven't allowed yourself to receive happiness. So your job is to learn how to allow yourself to receive. The Course in Miracles is a book that teaches us how to allow ourselves to be helped. We are so far gone that we have to have a book that teaches us how to allow ourselves to be helped. We are souls that are so deep into guilt and so deep into unforgiveness that we actually have to have a book that teaches us how to let ourselves be helped. That's hilarious if you really hear it right. You're being taught how to let yourself be helped. You're being taught how to let yourself receive. So don't be focused so much on how you're going to give love to everybody. Don't put your emphasis on how you're going to give love to everybody. What your emphasis should be on is how you're going to allow yourself to receive it so that you can give it because you have some happiness and some love to give. So forgiveness is the end of all specialness. It's the end of you thinking that you are different from anybody else. Specialness, the Course in Miracles says, specialness is the belief that you are different from God, the belief that you are different from love, the belief that you are different from everybody else. So forgiveness is the end of your belief that you are separate and different from everybody else. Because when you don't think you are separate and different from everybody else, you join everybody else, and everybody else joins you. So what is the key to everybody joining you and you joining with everybody else? Recognizing that you are not special. You are not different from anybody else. You are not different from anybody else. Everybody else is love, and so are you. Everybody is spirit, and so are you. Everybody's innocent, and so is you. So are you. Everybody's loved, and so are you. You're not special. You're not different. You're not special. You are not excluded. You are not excluded. You're not excluded. You're not excluded. You're not special. You're not special. Forgiveness is the end of you thinking you're special. Forgiveness is the end of you thinking that you're different from love, that you're different from God, that you're different from anybody else. You deserve happiness and love just as much as anybody else. And so the Course says, for it is sure he would receive it wholly the instant that he gave it so. And thus his secret guilt, what kind of guilt do you have? You have secret guilt. What kind of guilt do you have? You have guilt you don't even know about. You have guilt that you're guilty about things that you don't even know you feel guilty about. You have guilt about things that you don't even know you feel guilty about. You have guilt about things that you don't even know you have guilt about. You have some secret guilts. You have some secret guilts. You have some guilts that are secret from you. You have guilt that you don't even know about. You have guilt that you don't even know about. You have secret guilt. Would you like your secret guilt to disappear? How do I let my secret guilt disappear? Well, you have to let it be forgiven by yourself. In other words, I've got to release my own false ideas about myself. Forgiven by yourself. You forgiving yourself means you are going to let go of all your false ideas about yourself. To forgive yourself means I'm going to let go of all the false ideas I have about myself. I'm going to let go of all the false ideas I have about myself. Forgiving myself means I'm going to let go of all the false ideas I have about myself. I'm going to let go of all the false ideas I have about myself. I'm going to let go of the false idea that I'm separate. I'm going to let go of the false idea that I'm unlovable. I'm going to let go of the false idea that I'm afraid. I'm going to let go of the false idea that I'm guilty. I'm going to let go of the false idea that I'm a body. I'm going to let go of the false idea that I can't be happy. I'm going to let go of my false ideas, and that is me being forgiven by myself. And if you let all your false ideas be released, your guilt would disappear because your guilt is a false idea. Your guilt is a false idea. 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 So when you release the idea of guilt, then your guilt will disappear. So if you want to let go of your guilt, what do? If you want to let go of your guilt, you let go of your false ideas. What is the main false idea you need to let go of? That you're guilty. The biggest false idea of all is that you're guilty. You're not guilty. You're not guilty. You are not guilty. You may make mistakes. You might make mistakes. You do make mistakes. You hold mistakes lovely. You cling to your mistakes. And then you call your mistakes unforgivable so you can cling to your mistake. You can keep the mistake going by seeing it as unforgivable. But as soon as you give your forgiveness, you will instantly be forgiven. And that's how you will know that you have actually forgiven, because you will instantly be forgiven. That's how you know that you are giving love, because you will instantly know that you are loved. So if you're not aware of love, if you're not aware of happiness, if you're not aware of peace, you ain't giving nobody none. You're not really giving anybody any peace if you don't have any peace. You aren't giving anyone any peace. So you need to let yourself receive it, because you're not giving peace to nobody around you. If you are unhappy, you're not giving peace to anybody. How do you know? Because you're unhappy. Because if you were really giving happiness, if you were really giving peace, you would be happy. You would be peaceful. That's what the Course in Miracles says. We don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe this. 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 But it's just telling it like it is. Whatever you think is missing is what you aren't giving. Anything you think is lacking is what you aren't giving. You aren't giving what you think you don't have. If you don't think you have an abundance, then you're not giving any. If you think you don't have companionship, then you're not extending enough. There's nothing missing from your life that you are giving. There's nothing missing from your life that you are giving. So what you have in your life is what you are giving. What you have in your life is what you are giving. What you have in your life, what I have in my life, according to A Course in Miracles, it's what I am giving. And so my secret gifts would disappear if I let go of my false ideas about myself. Joanne says the biggest false idea is that I believe I am guilty. That is the biggest false idea according to the Course. That's the main false idea that we need to let go of, is that we're guilty and sinful. Kim says, I want to let go of the lie that I'm guilty. That's right. Demola says we are sinless for real, for real. Now, you can be sinless and not know it. You can be sinless and not know it. You can be loved and not know it, because you don't know it if you don't think you're giving it and you're not allowing yourself to receive it. So remember, what we're focused on is not you giving it. We are focused on you learning how to let go of the false ideas so that you can receive it. See, we're on the phase of your spiritual development that is about you being a receiver. The universe wants to give you everything. The universe wants to give you everything. God wants to give you everything. God wants to give you everything. Love wants to give you everything. Love wants to give you everything so you'll have love to give. You can't give what you don't have. So the first phase of being a spiritually developed light of the world is that if you're going to be a light worker, we have to fill you up. We have to fill you up with everything. We have to fill you up with love, peace, joy, happiness, abundance. You cannot bring that to the world if you don't have it yourself. So the first phase of fulfilling your function is for you to get to the point that you let go of your false ideas so that you can receive love, so that you can be given love, so that you can be given happiness. Because once you allow yourself to receive, then, Earl, you will have something you can give to somebody. So this is not about you giving. You're at the stage of getting rid of the blocks to receiving. Your job is to get to the point that you can allow yourself to give forgiveness instantly so you can have it instantly. You're trying to get to the point that you receive love so you can give love so that you can receive love instantly. Okay. Receiving is difficult because we have false ideas about ourselves. Don't forget that forgiveness is the release of all illusions. It's the release of every false idea. So what makes things difficult is when I have false ideas about it. If I see love as being difficult, that's how I know I have wrong ideas about what love is. See, you can tell when you have a wrong idea about something, because whenever you have a wrong idea about something, it doesn't give you any peace. It doesn't give you any joy. So anything that's false is something that's not making you happy. Something that's unreal is something that you're getting no joy out of. So the way that you can tell if something is real or not is how much joy you experience and how much happiness are you experiencing, how much peace are you experiencing. It's no more real than how much love you are feeling. And if you give love totally, you will receive love instantly. But you can only give love when you allow yourself to receive it. So right now, the Course in Miracles is trying to teach us how to let go of the false ideas that keep us from receiving the happiness that we want. This book is trying to get rid of everything that keeps you from having the happiness that you want. That is amazing. How could he then give his forgiveness totally when he would not receive it for himself? For it is sure he gave it so, and thus his secret guilt would disappear, forgiven by himself. So let's say that another way. Let's use love and fear. Let's use love and fear, okay? Because those are other definitions in the Course in Miracles. Let me show you. Forgiveness is the end of fear. Only fears can be forgiven, and then fears disappear. Forgiveness is the end of all fears, and that's why it is impossible but partly to forgive. No one who clings to one fear can see himself as innocent. For he who clings to one fear holds one error to himself as lovely still. And so one error that you hold to yourself, one mistake that you hold to yourself and you don't want to let go of, any false idea, a mistake that you hold to yourself that you don't want to let go of and you want to keep, a mistake you want to keep, a pain you want to keep, a fear you want to keep, a guilt you want to keep, would be the one that you would call unforgivable, and you make it a sin. And so how can you give love and forgiveness to everybody else when you won't receive love and forgiveness for yourself? If you don't let yourself receive happiness, then you're not fulfilling your part. You're not fulfilling your function when you won't let God make you happy. You're not fulfilling your function when you won't let love come in and make you happy. You're not fulfilling your function when you won't allow abundance to come in, because abundance wants to come in. Love wants to come in, because it's not until you receive it that you will be able to give it to anyone else. So if you're really going to be helpful, if you're really going to be helpful, if you're really going to bring love and peace and joy on the planet, then the first thing you've got to do is let your own tank be filled up. You've got to let your own tank be filled before you can drive anywhere. So the first thing is you got to let the universe make you happy. You've got to let the universe send you the right relationships that make you happy. You have to let the universe send you the joy and the health and everything that you really want. You have to allow the universe to give you some good stuff. Because unless you allow the universe to give you some good stuff, you can't give no good stuff to nobody else if you won't let yourself receive none. You can't give anybody something that you have not received yourself. Stop thinking you're going to make somebody else happy and you're not happy. Stop thinking you're going to make somebody else happy when you're not happy. Stop thinking that you're going to go out and love somebody when you're not loving yourself, because you haven't allowed yourself to receive forgiveness, which is the end of every false idea you have about yourself. And the biggest false idea you have about yourself is that you're not loved, or that you're separate from God, or that you are bad, or that you're sinful, or that you're separate, or that you're different. All of those are false ideas that you have to be released from so that you can receive all the good stuff that God has for you. You're a lousy receiver. You are a lousy receiver. You're a lousy receiver. You are a lousy receiver. Have a nice day. Admit it. You are a lousy receiver. Admit it. The universe can't wait to give you everything that would make you happy. The universe can't wait to give you every single thing that would bring you joy. But you are a lousy receiver. You are a pathetic receiver. That's how the Course in Miracles talks like that. I mean, like, wow. He said he called one of my beliefs shabby. He said, you have a shabby belief. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What you mean I have a shabby belief? Yeah, you don't think you deserve love. That's a shabby belief. So I'm telling you that you are a lousy receiver. And nobody likes to be called that. So I want you to get mad so that you'll make me wrong. That's what I want you to do. I want you to make me wrong. I said you're a lousy receiver, Earl. And I want you to make me wrong. You know, and the only way you can make me wrong is that I begin to receive. So the Course in Miracles says that forgiveness is the end of specialness. And how can you give your forgiveness wholly when you wouldn't receive it for yourself? For it is sure that you would receive it totally. You would receive it totally the instant that you give it or gave it. And that's how your secret guilt would disappear, forgiven by yourself. See, you want your guilt to disappear. Your guilt will disappear when you realize you're not guilty. Your guilt will disappear when you realize you haven't done anything to feel guilty about. You may have disobeyed a bunch of insane rules that insane men made up for us to live by, and you're making yourself feel guilty because you broke some rule that man made up. But you know, God seriously isn't freaked out by how short your skirt is. And any God that would be that petty, I wouldn't want to worship anyway. So we have false ideas about God. And the false ideas you have about God are keeping you from receiving all the blessings that God wants to give you, because you have to let go of false ideas, because false ideas, that's what forgiveness is. It is the release of all illusion. It's the release of all of your false ideas. And in order to release your false ideas, you need to let yourself hear true ideas. And do you know that the Course in Miracles is a book full of true ideas? The Course in Miracles is a teaching that is full of true ideas. And it's teaching you the difference between true ideas and false ideas. The purpose of the Course is to teach you the difference between true ideas and false ideas. And the end of every false idea is forgiveness. Forgiveness is the end of all of your false, untrue beliefs. You have a bunch of false, untrue beliefs. You have a bunch of false, untrue beliefs. How can you tell if a belief is false? How can you tell if a belief or an idea is false? If an idea is false, it causes you pain. It causes you fear. It causes you lack and sickness and unhappiness. All of those things come from false ideas. All those things, all pain comes from false ideas. Ideas that are not true, that we believe are true. An illusion is an idea that is not true, that you believe is true. And if you believe you're guilty, if you believe you're sinful, if you believe you're separate, if you believe that you are a body, then you are going to go through pain, because those are false ideas. You are not your body. You have a body as a communication device. You have a body that is a means for you to join minds and hearts. You are not your body. You are not your guilt. You are not your fear. And as long as you believe that you are believing a false idea. And since it's a false idea, it's going to cause you pain, because it's not based on love and it's not based on truth. So how can you give your forgiveness, which is the end of all false ideas, wholly, when you would not receive it for yourself? Receive it for yourself. Tell yourself, I'm going to receive the Course in Miracles for myself. I'm going to do the Course in Miracles for myself. I'm going to read this book, and I'm going to apply everything that it's saying as best I can to myself. I'm not going to worry about applying it to everybody else or getting everybody else to apply it. I'm going to focus on applying these ideas to myself. I'm going to forgive myself. I'm going to let go of all my false negative beliefs about myself. I'm going to forgive myself first. I'm going to get the correct perception of myself first. And I'll know when I have the correct perception of myself, because when I have the correct perception of myself, I will be happy. When I have the correct perception of myself, I will have peace. When I have correct perception of myself, I won't be seeing myself as having lack in any way in my life. When I have forgiven myself, I will see no lack in any area of my life. That's how I'll know I have forgiven myself. That's how you know that you've forgiven yourself. And until you are seeing things in total love and in total peace and in total happiness, you know you have some false ideas. That's how you know there's some things that you believe that are not true. There's no such thing as seeing things correctly and being upset. There's no such thing as seeing things correctly and being upset. So there's no such thing as seeing things correctly and being afraid. According to the Course in Miracles, it says that over and over again. Love is the only thing that's real. Love is the only thing that's real. And if you see anything other than that, you're looking at a false idea. You think you're special. You think everybody and everything in the universe deserves love but you. That things can go right for everybody else, but they can't go right all the time for you. You think you're too special. So forgiveness is you letting go of the idea that anybody deserves any kind of good that you don't also deserve. That's too special. Somehow thinking that you are left outside of the divine order of love and oneness. Somehow or another, all this stuff doesn't apply to you. Then you think you're too special. You think you're too different. And that specialness is a grievance, and it's causing all the pain that you're going through right now. You think you're too special. You think you're not special enough? No, you actually think you're too special. You think you are too different. You think you are too excluded. That's what this is telling us. And when you let go of that false idea, then you will have forgiven yourself, and you will let the blessings in. All right. All right. I really, really need to hear that again. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you for using my body. Thank you, love God, for using my body and everybody else's. So I'm going to do a quick little recap of this. I can feel Spirit wants to say some things to kind of wrap it up. If you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, P-U-R-D-Y. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving out of your abundance. On Tuesday, I will do the Way of Mastery on Facebook Live on the Earl Purdy page. And then on Thursday, hardcore Course in Miracles, like we did this evening. And you all were right there with me. I felt you. Don't forget to share this video on your timeline. Please share this class. Extend it. I'm available for clarity sessions. Go to my website and it will explain exactly what a clarity session is, and it's a one-on-one with me. Go to my website and also sign up for my contact list, www.earlpurdy.com. Okay, let's go back through the main points of this. Are you willing? Forgiveness is the end of specialness. Forgiveness is the end of false ideas. And so the end of false ideas, illusions, is the end of specialness. Specialness is a false idea. Specialness is a false idea that causes all pain. All pain comes from the belief that you are special. What does that mean? It means somehow you think that you are separate from everyone else. Somehow you believe that you are a body. Somehow you believe that you're not connected to God. Somehow you think that somebody has something that you don't have, or you have something that somebody else doesn't have. Specialness is the belief that we are different from each other, that we are not all God's children, that we are not all love. So forgiveness is the end of differences. Then it says, only illusions can be forgiven. Only false ideas can be forgiven. And then false ideas disappear. So all of your illusions, all of your fears will disappear when you see them as based on false ideas. When you say something is unforgivable, according to A Course in Miracles, what you're really saying is, this is a pattern, this is a pain, this is a mistake that I see in you that I don't want to let go of, that I love. This is a pain that I'm receiving. This is a mistake that I'm living that I'm not ready to let go of yet. This is a false idea that I'm not ready to let go of yet. And how can I tell when I have some pain that I'm not ready to let go of yet? I will call it unforgivable. So whenever I tell myself that something is unforgivable, I know it's something I'm trying to hold on to. Anything that I tell myself is unforgivable is a mistake that I see as lovely and that I want to hold on to. Any kind of pain or fear that I want to hold on to, I'm going to say that what caused it was something that is unforgivable. I'm going to call it unforgivable if I want to keep it. It's unforgivable if I want to keep it. It's unforgivable if I want to keep it. It's unforgivable if I want to keep it. If it's a pain that I want to keep, it's a grievance. If it's a grievance I want to keep, if it's an upset that I want to keep, if it's a separation that I want to keep, I'm going to say that what you did was unforgivable. So you can't give forgiveness that you don't receive. You can't give happiness that you won't let yourself receive. You can't give love that you don't let yourself receive. But as soon as you give it, you will instantly receive it. As soon as you really give it, you will instantly receive it. The instant that you really give it, you will instantly receive it. When you instantly give it, you will instantly receive it. For it's sure you would receive it totally the instant that you give it. When you really give it, you will really receive it. When you really give it, you will really receive it. When you really give it, you will really receive it. When you really give it, you will instantly receive it. Forgiving yourself. What does it mean to forgive yourself? What does it mean? It means you are willing to let go of all your false beliefs about yourself. Let go of all your false beliefs. Let go of all your false beliefs. Let go of all your false beliefs. Let go of all your false beliefs about yourself. That's what forgiving yourself means. It means letting go of all of your false beliefs about yourself. Okay, I'm through. I'm out of here. I love you all. I always check out your comments in the communication and interaction. We are a tribe. We are the mighty companions, and we don't have to go on from here alone. I love you. And read through this section. It's incredible. As a matter of fact, I'm going to continue through it because the next two sections are incredibly powerful. So read those. Mighty companions, thank you for being my saviors. I love you.